The XRP bull run continues despite all of the FUD and attacks against this asset. It's just truly incredible to see how well we've held up with XRP back above $3 this morning. Looking forward to sharing this quick update with you guys here. Let's get right on into it, starting out with the housing market. We like to cover all of the financial markets here on this show so that people have a full understanding of what's taking place out here when it comes to investing, not just in crypto, but in the other asset classes as well. And I've been talking about this reset that's already underway in the real estate market. Home sellers now outnumber buyers by more than 500,000, the largest gap ever recorded. Now, this is all part of the greatest transfer of wealth in world history. A lot of real estate is going to get passed down and be transferred because, some of the kids aren't going to want to run it, take it over. There's just been a significant amount of appreciation and a lot of equity sitting untapped within our real estate market. And so as folks are forced to sell off, and you're starting to see now that the buyers, or the sellers, I should say, are starting to outnumber the buyers at the highest level we've ever seen, it's going to force those prices to come back down in certain markets. This is not a broad, bear market for real estate in America, but in select markets, it absolutely is a correction and a tremendous opportunity, which is why I've been telling you guys, I'm moving my XRP and my other cryptos to these different platforms where I got my order set up, my exit strategies ready to go, and I'm going to be taking profits from crypto to go into the real estate asset class at what I think is going to be one of the best times to actually enter, because there's going to be blood in the streets essentially. And that's what we're starting to see right now confirmed in the data. But this XRP FUD and the attacks against it, I wanted to really hone in on that. We covered it in last night's live show, Caitlin Long, and the lies that she shared about Ripple having the first ICO ever. XRP's not decentralized. They can't get any trust from the banks. All sorts of lies and slandering of Ripple and XRP shared by Caitlin Long yesterday. And we have the bankers actually joining her, the community bankers, Independent Community Bankers of America, with a desperate letter to the OCC trying to stop Ripple. Now, this is different from the ABA, the American Bankers Association, which also warned the OCC against Ripple and trying to become a trust bank with RLUSD. This is the big threat. So it wasn't just the American Bankers Association. It was also the community banks. The smaller guys are also a little bit scared here of Ripple. ICBA opposes Ripple National Trust Bank Charter application, citing risks of stablecoin RLUSD mimicking deposits, bypassing regulations, and Ripple's history of non-compliance with AML and securities laws, urges the OCC for stricter oversight. The desperation from the banksters, the desperation from the Caitlin Longs of the world. I think that she's worried that Ripple's set to get a Fed master account before she does, and the Ripple's further along. That's the thing. And then a lot of these guys are just salty that they didn't get in on this action. They didn't get the bag of XRP. They didn't, they weren't part of the company Ripple and the beast that it is now becoming. And they are scared to death of Ripple, all of these people. And it just so happens to be coinciding when we start to see some outflows from Ethereum. That's right. Outflows from ETH seem to be correlated with the attacks against XRP. After having a record month of July, and I noted it, great job. You had 5.4 billion of inflows into the Ethereum ETFs in July, record month, but the money can also flow out. And so the BlackRock Spot Ethereum ETF recorded 375 million in outflows on August 4th, marking its largest outflows since launch. They are so desperate because Ethereum, despite having the first mover advantage with Bitcoin, the free pass, and then having an ETF, one entire year of runway on the ETF before XRP, Solana, and others. Despite that, Ethereum still hasn't hit an all-time high. And I'm telling you, I got to come up with a different morning routine because I just can't do it anymore. When I wake up in the morning and I typically I'm checking my Discord, I then go to Twitter and I'm seeing what's happening in the news and the charts. And I need to come up with a different morning routine because sometimes I click on these spaces. And so this morning I clicked on Crypto Town Hall, which is like the largest crypto space in the morning session. And you got all these Bitcoin bros and Ethereum guys on there. And it's just this continuing story of why Bitcoin hasn't done this, but it's going to do better down the road, and why the tokenization of the stock market is actually bullish for Bitcoin, and all of this justification for why their bags are not performing well. And I'm talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now, I've talked about this since the election, which is when we entered a new reality. That's when things shifted. Many people didn't recognize that that was what was taking place. We did. We perfectly positioned ourselves. There's a Trump XRP hat on my shelf right there for a very good reason. We knew what was coming. We had a very strong thesis with a lot of conviction, and we bought the heck out of XRP under 50 cents while all of these guys were fudding us out. And XRP was 50 cents all the way up until the day before the election. It even went down to 49 cents. Trump got elected, and since that moment, we are destroying the returns of Bitcoin and Ethereum combined. We're outperforming all of the top 10 cryptocurrencies. You combine Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, all of their gains together, times that by 2 or 3, and then you get the returns of XRP. It is not even close. They can no longer ignore us. And for that reason, the FUD campaign, the misinformation, and you got to understand, some of the misinformation has been done on accident in the past. People just didn't understand. This is outright disinformation that's being disseminated on purpose because they are so desperate, whether it be Joe Blow, Ethereum bag holder. God, that it is just so pathetic out here. I'm sorry to be so pissed off, but it's not a way to start the morning. I'll tell you that much. Do not start your morning off by listening to these guys. It's pathetic out here. And they're coming up with all these excuses, and they won't dare mention XRP. And if they do, that's when you see Caitlin Long in that podcast clip that you're seeing circulating around. They interrupt the podcast host to come in and FUD XRP and Ripple. These people can't wait. They don't want to talk about it, don't want to talk about it, don't want to talk about it until it gets mentioned. And then they have to pounce and try to attack Ripple and XRP with outright lies. It is the most pathetic desperation I have seen, and it is holding back our entire crypto space, which is why it's pissing me off. It doesn't FUD me out of my bags. It doesn't FUD many of you guys out of your bags. But the problem is it's holding back our entire industry. Because instead of letting our whole entire industry move forward, they're trying to hold everybody back and let Bitcoin and Ethereum slip out in front. Let Bitcoin and Ethereum get out in front and get a little bit of a lead here, which in and of itself is a desperate attempt at best, outright corruption at worst, and I think you guys know where it falls. Holding back the entire space, sacrificing our entire industry so that Bitcoin and Ethereum can get a little head start. And I don't understand for the life of me why the rest of the space is not calling this out. It's like I look around in the crypto space right now, and it's these desperate bag holders of Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then it's just a bunch of crap in the meme coin space. I'm even seeing it in the XRP Ledger ecosystem too, the meme coins within the XRP Ledger ecosystem. All this dramatic drama and all this crap. You hold bags of crap. Just stop. You know what I'm saying? So for all this crap in the memes that's taking place, and then Bitcoin and Ethereum desperate bag holders, and we wonder why we're not getting mass adoption, this is who's representing our space right now. Instead of, companies like Ripple, they've tried to put forward an effort here to lift up everybody. The XRP family. Our red folder was our fight, but our fight was on behalf of the entire crypto industry. And we're the ones that not only do we not get respect, we don't get a shout out, which is okay, but they want to stab us in the back. We get attacked by the rest of the industry. And I'm telling you, the reason why it's pissing me off so much is because it's holding back everyone. And at the same time that they're doing this, they all have their bags of XRP too. That's the ironic part of this. Galaxy Digital holds 34 million in XRP, new SEC filing confirms. So this is Mike Novogratz, early Ethereum ICO participant in Whale. He wasn't disguised. He's very, he likes to brag about how he got in on the Ethereum ICO so early. And he wants to hate on Ripple and XRP. But yet, you look underneath the hood, every single one of these liars has a bag of XRP. And then you got Peter Schiff coming in, and I appreciate Peter. He takes a little stab at Bitcoin. He says if you bought Bitcoin at the end of 2024, November 2024, following the enthusiasm over Trump's win, you're up 16%. However, if you bought MicroStrategy to leverage Bitcoin, you're down 3%. But if you bought gold instead of Ether, you're up 27%. And if you bought GDX to leverage gold, you're up 50%. And I said, Peter, let's check XRP because that's cute. We love our precious metals as well. I got them right here. We love our gold and silver. They are doing really well. And I've been saying the defensive side of our portfolio is outperforming Wall Street by multiples right now. Wall Street goes on the offensive. They're still not catching up with our defensive measures, let alone what we're doing in XRP. All these guys, and I appreciate a little low blow sneak diss on Bitcoin from Peter Schiff. That's to be expected. That's totally cool. But now take a look at XRP, please. Let's come on back, Peter, and let's take a look at XRP because I raise you that 50%. Congratulations. Cheers. How does 500% sound? Because that's where we're at, Peter. Let's get you caught up to speed. Okay. And now Ashley Prosper puts out a very important tweet right here. Remember the rule. Every single time there has been major XRP FUD, good news follows shortly after. Final end to the Ripple versus SEC cases incoming. I think it's coming next week. And it's not priced in, and it's going to blindside this market. SEC and Ripple will both drop their appeals next week, in my opinion. Banking license incoming, Fed master account, double-digit ETFs on the way, UK crypto license incoming, XLS ADD incoming, Clarity Act incoming, final ISO deadline. Ripple and XRP are poised for a giant leap by December 2025, and BlackRock's going to join the party as well. Nate Garossi, take a listen.
Is saying that I do believe BlackRock will file for both spot XRP and Solana ETFs, though we're getting a little bit late here in the sense of, I think, again, we're getting closer to the finish line and they still haven't filed. Now, maybe they're waiting for that formal framework that we talked about to be put into place, and they're going to swoop in at the last minute and file for these. Is saying that I do believe.
Yeah, and what's going to happen is it's going to slingshot. All of this FUD, it's annoying me right now. I'm frustrated with it. And the ETFs being delayed, all of it, the case, everything. And I get our community's wore out. I get it. But understand, now's the time to position yourself accordingly for the snapback, right? For the slingshot, because that's what's taking place. People want what you tell them they can't have. And we've been told not only can you not have XRP, but XRP's the worst thing ever. It's not going to perform. It's never going to hit a new all-time high. It's never going to break $2. Sell XRP at $2 because it's going back to 50 cents. Sell XRP at $3 because it's going back to $1. All of it has been wrong. All of it has held us back, but they can no longer keep this thing suppressed. It's about to break free. It's the beach ball under the water. We're about to pop up. BlackRock is going to get their XRP ETF in before they go live at the end of September in October. We are 100% going to get our ETFs. BlackRock's going to join the party. And we've seen what those inflows have done. For Bitcoin, we've seen what kind of inflows Ethereum has attracted. And I think that you're going to see more inflows into XRP than you are Ethereum. I firmly believe that. And based off of those inflows, you're going to see XRP at a much higher price. So these people right now that are having a meltdown and their desperate attempts to stop XRP is not because we've been able to reach a $200 billion market cap and XRP's back above $3. It's because they're terrified of XRP going to double digits and beyond. They're scared to death of Ripple becoming bigger than any bank within America, but equivalent to more than even a central bank. I've compared Ripple to the IMF or the BIS from the very beginning. My first TikTok back in 2021 was comparing Ripple, and I said, it doesn't justify comparing Ripple to a central bank because Ripple does not service just one country. We need to compare them to the BIS or the IMF because they're servicing everybody. Just like the IMF does with their special drawing rights, the reserve currency, right? That's what XRP is in digital form, done by Ripple. And they are scared to death. And the thing that bugs these guys the most is that they could come get on board, but they have to do so under Ripple's terms. That's why they keep on bringing back up that, you know, the early insiders on Ripple got big bags of XRP and they didn't. JP Morgan sent 15 executives to the office of Ripple. And this is what they hate the most, is that they can't stop it, they can't control it, and when they come to the table, Ripple has all the cards. So mark my words, SEC and Ripple, they're going to drop their appeals, most likely by next week. I firmly believe there's no reason why it should extend out further. These ETFs are going to go live in September or October, 100%. And then the expectation of rate cuts is also going to drive us higher. The remainder of this year is going to be the XRP show. These guys cannot stop. Nothing can stop what is coming for XRP. So stay tapped in with us. If you like what we're doing here, make sure you like the videos. Help us out by sharing it out far and wide. All of our community resources are available at zachrector.com. The platforms that I like to use, the wallets that I prefer, and then get tapped in with our Discord community if you want the real alpha. God bless all of you guys. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you and stay safe. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.